This video is on custom URLs in Quincy. What we're going to talk about is what they are, give you some sense of why you might use them, and how to make them. It's relatively straightforward, but I would say literally probably my favorite feature in the entire product because I have to load it so frequently, so it saves me a ton of time. And I think it's very inventive and something that we have that really other people haven't really looked at. And I just think it's sort of cool. No magic here, but a neat feature nonetheless. So let me show you. So first let's talk about what they are and why to use them. All right, to do that, I'm going to have to take you through a relatively painful process of logging into the entire product. This is the entire product. Everything has been loaded. We've got acquisition, we've got all sorts of capabilities that have been loaded into the tool. I'm going to go ahead and log out. And I'm going to log back in, and we are going to suffer through the login process together. And that is just part of the point of this demo. So the reason this is going to be painful up front, and we've got sort of pain up front here for speed later, is because during the loading process, we have to load every one of those widgets, every one of those modules, and some of them are quite large. During your install process, you should have had the opportunity, if your users are English speaking, to strip out the location widget, and that should save some time in loading, but nonetheless, loading is still slow, as we are currently experiencing. Okay, great, we're into the product, but imagine you have to do that like I do, 200 times a day. It's intolerable. It's just too slow. In particular, if I'm working off my lab type, which doesn't have a solid state drive, so everything is slower, it's just too slow. That's just the reality of it. Because of that, we implemented a feature in admin under the configuration section called custom URLs. Custom URLs allow you to reduce the product to just those features which you want to utilize. So you can see I've created a whole bunch of custom URLs. Let's look. I was just doing a demo recently on visualizations, and so I created a custom URL for visualizations that only loads into it the widgets I needed for my demonstration, which at that point were really just the visualization widgets. So when you do this, when you create a widget, a custom URL, and you select the different widgets you want, it will only load those widgets. And as a function of that, it will load meaningfully faster. So we're going to click on right here. We're going to click right here, which will open a new which will log us out and log us into this visualization. We're going to see that it's meaningfully faster. It's not instantaneous, but it is in fact meaningfully faster. So we'll go ahead and click here, and it's logged us out, and it's now logging us back in. And previously during this process, we had to load again everything. This time we're just going to load those 4 or 5 widgets that I pointed to, and it will be roughly half the time. So we'll sit here and then just wait it out nonetheless. Like I said, it's not super fast anyway, but it is much faster. So there we go. Now we have loaded only the widgets that we had specified in the custom URL. And you can see we're at this alternate URL login.visualization. Now, it's important to understand how these work in conjunction with roles. When you create a role, you can specify which widgets the person has access to. So this by data type role has access to these different widgets. While the person only has access to those widgets, all of the widgets load. So they will still suffer from the load speed associated with the entire product. But if you go into the configuration and you give that person now a custom URL that matches the widgets that you've given them in the role, it will load much faster for them. So let's talk about a few other things. First, let's click here, and we'll see that this login admin has no widgets assigned to it. So I just want to show you what will load anyway. There are some standard widgets that load no matter what because they're part of sort of the base product. And you can see this is loading even faster than the last one. But you can see we've got our admin, we've got our panels, and localization just got removed, and that got removed because I configured it for English speakers here, so we're not loading that. But at this point, you can see this has got admins and panels, and had I not configured it just for English speakers, we would have localization as well. All right, let's come to configuration and go to custom URLs. And now let's just talk about a few of the logistics of making these. First of all, let's talk about this grid. The way this grid works is the right is widgets, shows you the widgets you've got loaded. You can click on that and they will load here. You can delete either of these, or you can well, let me cover this as a separate video. This is the transition from summation. So if you own summation and you want to launch into Quincy, you can choose into what URL you're going to have it launch. If you choose nothing, it will launch into the whole product. But if you want a summation user coming into Quincy for review to only have access to visualizations, for example, you just click this and it will set this as the summation transfer URL. If you click here, what will happen is what just happened. You will log into that URL. All right, now let's talk about the stuff here on the left, the widgets that you can select. They're all categorized based on their basic function. And it's important to note that they're interlinked, or at least some of them are. Actually, let me go to my visualizations one, because let's do admin, where we have nothing selected, so it's a clean slate. Now we come here, if we click on the by data type widget, you're going to see that a whole bunch of other widgets got selected. This is because those widgets are truly essential to running the by data type widget, and if you don't include them, there will be problems with the by data type widget. Likewise, if you come in and you select processing, it will select a number of other widgets. If you now try to unselect that widget, let's say the export, it's not going to let you. I'm clicking on export, and it's not letting me take it away. If I remove by the process data and then click remove export, it will allow me, because it's saying, okay, now you don't have a conflict. You can go ahead and remove it. When I'm happy with what I have, I type here, let's say Bob, and then I save it, and it will create a Bob login, a Bob URL. It will always add this login _ Bob. You don't need to type the login. It will do that. That word is significant to the program, so you can't remove it. And then if we go click on it, it would log us into the Bob URL. The last thing I want to show you here is these custom images and custom logos. I am not married to the branding of the product. I want it to look the way you guys want it to look. And therefore, if you go and you find yourself a logo that you want to be your loading image, or a logo that you want to go up here, you can go ahead and enter those in, and they will work for all URLs. So even at that point, the default URLs. You have to be careful, though, because they will overwrite our logos, which is fine. I don't mind. But the point is you won't be able to get our logos back. So unless you go in and save the logos before you do the overwriting, they will be gone for good. So anyway, that is the custom URL widget or capability. I hope this is helpful and you find that useful. Thank you very much.